Welcome back. I bet you're exhausted. Come on in, my husband's voice greeted me as we approached our doorstep. But before I could step inside, my mother-in-law intercepted, blocking my path with a rigid stance. Jennifer, could you run a quick errand for us? It's just a small shopping trip. After all, you're the daughter-in-law. With a curt nod, she handed me a list, the door closing firmly behind her. I'm Jennifer, a 25-year-old housewife, married to David for 2 years now. Once upon a time, I had a long-term boyfriend. We met in middle school, and our romance endured through high school and college, a solid 5 years. I thought we were on track to marry once our careers settled. But then, as my sophomore year of college drew to a close, he vanished without a trace, leaving behind a solitary message. I'm sorry, we should break up. And just like that, he vanished from my life. I searched high and low, but his whereabouts remained a mystery, even to my closest friends. It was a crushing blow. If you're ending things, at least have the decency to tell me why. I pleaded silently, but he vanished into thin air after 5 solid years together. Acceptance seemed impossible, and moving on felt like an insurmountable task. I wished he had just ripped the bandage off brutally, rather than leaving me hanging in limbo. Throughout the remainder of my college years, I spiraled into a cycle of self-destruction. Week after week, I drowned my sorrows in parties, earning a reputation for offering indiscriminate hugs to every guy in sight. Yet by some stroke of luck, I never allowed things to escalate further. Perhaps it was his lingering influence that restrained me, preventing me from veering into darker territory. My longtime friends couldn't bear witnessing my downward spiral any longer. With the best intentions, they began to introduce me to eligible suitors, hoping a new romance might anchor me. Each introduction brought forth quiet, steady men, but I recoiled from their advances, paralyzed by the fear of abandonment. Still, I forced myself to honor my commitments to my friends, and then amidst the haze of doubt and fear, I encountered someone who ignited a glimmer of hope within me, David. Older and with a steadfast determination, he possessed a clarity of purpose that resonated deeply with me. I'm focused on building my career, and I seek a partner who will stand by me at home, he declared with unwavering certainty. His words resonated deeply within me, stirring memories of the dreams I once shared with my ex. Yes, marriage had always been a part of our plan. From the outset of our relationship, we both envisioned a future together. After graduating from college, I dedicated a year to gain valuable work experience, a period of growth that I found enriching and fulfilling. Yet, when the time came to fulfill my promise to David, I willingly set aside my career aspirations to embrace the role of homemaker. Our life together has unfolded with a remarkable ease. David has proven to be not only loving but also remarkably considerate. Drawing from the independence I cultivated during my time living alone, I seamlessly transitioned into managing our household, and on those occasions when illness or fatigue set in, David readily assumed responsibility for the chores without hesitation. While David's career may not be glamorous, his unwavering dedication to his work is admirable. Our life together may lack the extravagance of some, but I find profound contentment in the simplicity of our marriage. Approaching our second Christmas together, my mother-in-law's call sent a shiver down my spine. Come home for Christmas this year. We have relatives to visit, she commanded, her tone as stern as ever. Compared to my own laid-back mom, her assertiveness always left me on edge. Of course we'll be there, I replied, attempting to mask my apprehension. Last Christmas, we opted for a trip, bypassing the in-laws since it was our inaugural year of marriage. I recalled how David had briefed his parents on our plans, yet when the call came from his mother, it was left to me to handle. Did he struggle to assert himself with them? The looming invitation filled me with dread for the impending holiday. Despite not being intimately familiar with my husband's family dynamics, I reassured myself that it was only a 2-day affair, a manageable stint. David, your mom called. What's the plan? I asked, a touch of anxiety creeping into my voice. She wants us both to come home for Christmas. There are relatives to visit too, remember? Since we skipped last year, we thought it's only fair to spend this Christmas with them, he replied, a hint of uncertainty in his tone. With gifts in tow, we felt adequately prepared for the occasion. The drive to his parents' house was a relatively short hour and a half, yet the anticipation weighed heavily on me. It had been a while since our last visit, and I couldn't shake off the nerves. Just relax, it's Christmas, David reassured me casually as we stepped out of the car, his easygoing demeanor doing little to ease my apprehension. As we arrived, A familiar voice called out, and David hurried over to greet the source, Emma, his cousin. She wrapped her arm around him in a playful gesture, but David quickly shook her off, a hint of annoyance flickering across his features. Emma, a year older than David, had a tendency to tease him relentlessly, a dynamic that had persisted since childhood. The first time I encountered Emma, her casual familiarity with David caught me off guard. I initially suspected she harbored feelings for him, viewing me as a rival. However, I soon realized the opposite was true. Emma's teasing stemmed from their long-standing sibling-like relationship, a bond that remained unchanged even into adulthood. Despite David's exasperation with her antics, Emma extended warmth and friendliness towards me, dispelling any initial misgivings. "Jennifer, it's been ages. Let's catch up over plenty of drinks this Christmas. See you tomorrow. I've got some errands to run," Emma chirped before darting back into the house. "Great, just what we needed," David muttered, clearly annoyed by the unexpected encounter. As we stood outside, David grumbled about our luck in bumping into Emma so soon. With his parents' house in the opposite direction of where we needed to go for the relatives' gathering, he began to stride towards his family's residence, voicing his frustration. Despite the disruption, I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief wash over me. Perhaps Emma's brief appearance was a blessing in disguise, a timely distraction that helped alleviate my nerves. With renewed determination, I followed David towards his parents' house, ready to embrace the festivities ahead. "We're back," my husband announced as he swung open the front door, only to be greeted by the hurried approach of my mother-in-law. "Welcome home. You both must be exhausted. Come on in," she ushered us inside. "Hello, mother-in-law," I greeted politely, attempting to follow my husband into the house, only to be halted in my tracks as she intercepted my path. "Jennifer, could you run a quick errand for us? It's just a small shopping trip." "Naturally, as the daughter-in-law, it falls to you," she declared, thrusting a list into my hands before abruptly shutting the door behind us. Surveying the extensive list she had given me, I couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. It was a laundry list of items ranging from everyday essentials like olive oil and vinegar to more extravagant fare like baguettes, drinks, fruits, and even luxury items such as steak and lobster. Clearly, this shopping trip was no small endeavor. I've only visited my in-laws a handful of times and I'm completely unfamiliar with the area. This is quite a hefty list, isn't it? How am I expected to manage carrying all of this on my own? And what about the expenses? It's utterly unreasonable to assume I'll foot the bill for everything. As my husband, who must have overheard the exchange, remains conspicuously absent, I can't help but feel a wave of frustration wash over me. "Hey David, aren't you going to help out?" I call out, standing bewildered outside, awaiting his assistance. Yet to my dismay, all I hear is laughter emanating from within the house. "Ah, I see how it is. I'm being disregarded," I mutter to myself, refusing to be relegated to the role of a mere housekeeper on Christmas. Frustrated by my mother-in-law's blatant demands and my husband's indifference, I make the decision to leave, driving back home in a fit of anger. Determined to salvage what's left of the holiday, I procure food and drinks for a relaxing Christmas at home. However, as I settle in with a beer, I'm startled by an unfamiliar sound emanating from my husband's belongings. Fuming with anger towards my mother-in-law, I stormed off, driving home with my husband's luggage stowed in the car. Among his belongings was his phone, which began incessantly ringing, prompting my curiosity. I had never felt the need to snoop through his phone before, but now, I couldn't resist the temptation to glance at the caller ID. It was a woman's name. As I stood frozen, the call ended and a message notification appeared. With the messages displayed on the screen, I read a series of short sentences that pierced through me. "David, when are you coming back from the in-laws? I'm feeling jealous being here without you. I've put off seeing you for Christmas, but make sure to come to me as soon as you return." My heart sank as the reality dawned on me. My husband was cheating. In that moment, any warmth I felt towards him turned to ice. While I had previously brushed off my mother-in-law's harassment as a minor nuisance due to our infrequent encounters, discovering my husband's infidelity was an entirely different story. There's no way I can continue living in this shame of a marriage. With a sense of urgency, I attempted to unlock his phone, and to my disbelief, the password was my own birthday. Using my own birthday to secure a phone he's using to communicate with his mistress. The audacity. Swiftly, I gathered evidence of his affair. There was no need for a private investigator. His phone held all the damning proof I required. The exchange of messages and the contents of his photo folders painted a damning picture of his infidelity. Now, faced with the reality of his betrayal, I contemplated my next move. In a moment of boldness, I seized his phone and composed a message to his mistress. My wife has gone back to her parents' house after a disagreement, so we have the opportunity to spend Christmas together. Come over, I typed, pretending to be him. Almost immediately, her reply came through. I swiftly responded with our address and awaited her arrival. She promised to be there within an hour, and true to her word, the doorbell rang just 30 minutes later. That was remarkably fast. As I swung open the door, I was met with the unexpected sight of my husband, father-in-law, and mother-in-law standing before me, their expressions betraying a sense of dejection. "Oh, we're back." My mother-in-law's voice carried a somber tone as she and my husband exchanged glances. "What happened to you two? Let us in for now," she continued, gesturing for us to step aside. With a sense of bewilderment, I ushered them into the room. But as they entered, a voice caught my attention, one that didn't belong to my father-in-law. Who could it be? Turning towards the entrance, my eyes fell upon Emma, standing beside none other than my grandmother-in-law, my mother-in-law's own matriarch. I was taken aback by the unexpected appearance of my grandmother-in-law. "What brings you here?" I began, but before I could finish, she interjected, ushering us all inside. "Come on, David, and you too, Jennifer," she said, her tone softened by an apology. "I'm sorry for ignoring you earlier, Jennifer. And David, I apologize for any oversight on my part." Upon closer observation, both my husband and mother-in-law appeared visibly unsettled in her presence. Grandmother-in-law's piercing gaze bore down on them, a testament to her intolerance for wrongdoing and bullying. Though she could be intimidating in her directness, there was an underlying warmth to her character that endeared her to me. I had always admired grandmother-in-law for her candidness and genuine care for those around her. It turned out that Emma had confronted my husband about our absence, noticing our car missing from the parking lot. He had been lounging at home, completely unaware of my departure to Thetna's inquiry. Enraged, she had interrogated him, and in turn, he had shifted the blame onto my mother-in-law. Thus the truth about the shocking incident came to light. Grandmother-in-law, having been informed of the situation, wasted no time in reprimanding them both. Even my father-in-law, who had been busy cleaning the neighborhood, was taken aback when he heard the story. Meanwhile, I had intentionally turned off my phone, rendering myself unreachable. Concerned for my whereabouts, they had hurried home to find me. As we discussed the unfolding events, the doorbell interrupted our conversation once more. Unsurprisingly, it was her standing on the other side. "Emma, could you please answer the door?" I called out, and in response, there was a sudden commotion followed by voices in dispute. As I observed, my husband's complexion turned pale, signaling the arrival of an unexpected guest. The tension in the room escalated, and I struggled to suppress a rising sense of amusement. The situation reached its climax as the woman my husband believed he had invited attempted to flee, only to be intercepted by Emma and ushered into the room. A collective gasp echoed through the room as everyone laid eyes on her. I too was taken aback, not just by her presence but by her attire, a frilly headpiece and a fluttering miniskirt, resembling that of a maid's uniform. In that moment, the realization dawned on me. Was my husband involved with someone like her? The woman, under the impression that she had been invited by my husband, stood in shock, confronted by a room full of adults. "David, what's happening?" I demanded, my voice tinged with a mix of disbelief and frustration. David hesitated before reluctantly explaining, "Well, you see, this girl is, your mistress, right?" "What? How did you find out?" the mistress exclaimed, her face flushing with embarrassment as she glanced nervously between us. "Yeah, because I saw your phone. I gathered plenty of evidence from photos to messages." "I know everything," I interjected, my tone firm and unwavering. At this revelation, the mistress let out a panicked cry, pleading for help from both David and my mother-in-law. The unexpected plea for assistance from my mother-in-law left me stunned, raising more questions than answers. What ensued was sheer chaos. Emma and I grilled my husband about the affair, while my father-in-law and grandmother-in-law sternly questioned my mother-in-law about her mistreatment of me. It was made abundantly clear to all three that their actions were utterly unacceptable, and my mother-in-law was especially condemned for condoning the affair. The most shocking revelation was how my husband came to know the maid. Strangely enough, it was my mother-in-law who played a pivotal role in their encounter. She had developed an interest in maid cafes but felt awkward attending alone. So she enlisted my husband as her companion. They bonded over their shared enjoyment of the performances and began frequenting the cafes together, eventually leading to the affair. What baffled me even more was my mother-in-law's apparent fondness for the mistress and her willingness to turn a blind eye to the affair. I couldn't understand why she would allow her son's infidelity to continue unchecked, especially given the distress it caused me. With the holiday season looming, my husband and I made the difficult decision to divorce before Christmas. It was a choice mirrored by my father-in-law and mother-in-law, who also opted to end their marriage during their time at our place, witnessing 2 divorces in one go. As the proceedings unfolded, the mistress trembled visibly, her demeanor reflecting a mixture of fear and uncertainty. Under Emma's watchful gaze and stern tone, she seemed to shrink with trepidation. Perhaps the notion of marriage had become a source of trauma for her. But that was no longer my concern. After reaching a settlement with my husband, the mistress, and even my mother-in-law, I reclaimed my freedom as a single woman once more. I secured a job and embraced the newfound sense of independence that came with it. Life was good, and I relished the opportunity to chart my own course forward. After the divorce, something unexpected occurred in my life. Emma and I had developed a close bond and become drinking buddies. Today, we plan to go bar hopping together once more. As I made my way to our meeting spot, I noticed someone standing beside Emma. Could that be Emma's boyfriend? Approaching them, the man turned around, and I was stunned. It was my ex-boyfriend, the one who had vanished without a trace. He seemed equally taken aback to see me. "Emma, I'm sorry, but I have to go," I stammered, feeling the surge of emotions welling up inside me. "What? Jennifer, why?" Emma protested, clearly confused by my sudden departure. Without hesitation, I began to run, my ex calling out after me, "Jennifer, wait, let's talk." But I couldn't stop, the rush of emotions propelling me forward, away from the ghosts of my past. At last, the truth from the past came to light. It turned out that my ex-boyfriend's family had endured a string of hardships. His grandmother battled dementia, his father's business collapsed, and his mother suffered from exhaustion due to caregiving responsibilities. Eventually, they had relocated to the countryside to seek refuge with relatives. While his grandmother had since passed away, things had gradually settled down for them. He expressed regret for not having the courage to confide in me about their family struggles earlier. "I understand now, but you should have told me," I responded, acknowledging the difficulty he had faced. Although it was in the past, learning the truth brought a sense of closure and understanding. But the surprises didn't end there. By a twist of fate, I discovered that my ex-boyfriend now worked at the same place as Emma, and they even shared the same shift today. "I've spent $60,000 just to make you happy, but why do you call me a wallet or an ATM?" Lily, who is Max's wife, said angrily. "We never asked for your help," she added. "If it bothers you so much, why don't you stop the payments?" Max said in a rude way. "Even my eldest son, Max, acts like this," Lily continued. "After making me pay for a $20,000 party and then a $40,000 wedding, they treat me like a money machine. Maybe I raised my son wrong. I won't let them boss me around anymore." "I understand what you're saying. Are you sure about that? You know we won't let you see your grandchild, right?" Max threatened. "You don't have to worry. I'm happy to stop the payments from now on." It was a big change for Max and Lily, who have been taking care of me. "My name is Chloe. I'm 56 years old. I've been struggling alone since my husband died 12 years ago. I work hard at a good company, where I've been for a long time. Some people might say I'm focused on my career. My children were teenagers when my husband passed away. Now they've finished college and have jobs. That makes me feel a bit better. I hope they'll start families of their own soon." As I thought about these things, I lived comfortably in the condo where I used to live with my children. Then, one day, Max called me and said, "I want you to meet a woman I'm thinking of marrying." I was happy to agree. Max is turning 28 this year and works as a salesman for a big company. He used to be a bit of a player, but it seemed like he was finally settling down. On the day he brought the woman he wanted to marry, he said, "Mom, it's been a while. This is my fiancée, Lily. Nice to meet you," as he introduced her. Lily worked as a receptionist at Max's company. She was very pretty, and I felt proud of my son for finding her. Congratulations to both of you. I'm here to support your happiness, I said with a smile as we talked. Eventually, they mentioned having an engagement party soon. I need to get ready. Mom, can you pay for the engagement party? It'll cost $20,000, Max asked me. I was surprised because I thought it would be around $10,000. But seeing how happy they were, I agreed and said, sure, it's a happy occasion. Later, my oldest daughter, Mia, came to visit. How's work going, Mia? I asked. The deadline was yesterday. I'm doing fine, Mom. Don't worry, Mia replied. Mia draws manga for a living. She hasn't had a big success yet, but she has her own series and earns enough to live on. She's always been good at drawing and loves manga, so it's the perfect job for her. By the way, Mom, Max is getting married, right? Mia asked. Yes, he came by with his fiancée, Lily, and they asked for $20,000 for the engagement party. I told her. Wow, that's a lot of money, Mia said. Well, they said they're going to use it for their wedding and to give gifts to thank people. Is that how it works? And so on the day of the engagement party, I gave them the $20,000 as promised. Both Lily and her parents seemed very happy. We'll use this money to start our new life together, they said as they put away the $20,000. They didn't give any gifts of thanks like I expected, but I told myself that's just how engagement parties go. As long as they have a happy marriage, it's okay, I thought. But a few days later, Max surprised me. We're having a big wedding with lots of guests, maybe around 250 people, he said. That sounds great. Mom, can you pay for the wedding up front? What? I have to pay. I thought weddings were paid for by the couple, I said. I'm counting on you, Mom. It's normal for parents to pay for the wedding. I already gave a lot of money for the engagement party. Lily's parents can't help, and I'll pay you back for the wedding gift, Max explained. I reluctantly looked at the bill Max had brought. To my surprise, it was for $40,000. The thought of paying so much money up front made me feel dizzy. How big is this wedding going to be? Isn't this too much? I asked. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and Lily wants everything to be perfect. Plus, don't we want Lily's parents to see how happy she is? Max said, making me feel trapped. I couldn't say no. Okay, it's a special occasion, I agreed. Max smiled and thanked me before leaving the room. Later, I paid the $40,000 up front to the wedding venue. It was tough to use my retirement savings, but I did it for my child's happiness. 2 months later, on the wedding day, the venue was more luxurious than I expected. Mia and I arrived early to get ready. As I was about to knock on the bride and groom's door, I heard them talking. I can't believe we're having such a fancy wedding thanks to Mom, Lily said. Yeah, and she gave us $20,000 for the engagement party, Max added. I even bought a new bag. What a great wallet, more like an ATM. Let's keep taking from it, Max. Mia and I were shocked to hear this. Lily happily said, if we ask her, she'll probably pay for the rest of the wedding, right? Of course she will. Then let's use the wedding gift for a honeymoon trip to Hawaii, and we'll bring my parents too. How about buying a high-rise apartment for our new home? That sounds perfect. Let's get my mother to pay. She has the money, Lily said. My hand was shaking as I raised it to knock on the door. Mia took my shoulder and led me away. I took a deep breath and held Mia's hand. Mia, there's something I need you to find out when the ceremony starts, I said. Sure, Mom. Leave it to me. And so Max and Lily's wedding began. I couldn't stop thinking about their earlier conversation. When the MC introduced me and the spotlight fell on me, all I could do was bow. Mia, who had been going around toasting, came back. Mom, I checked with Lily's relatives. Both of her parents are fine. That's terrible. We need to confront them. I'll stay by your side, Mia said as it was time for the first outfit change. Lily left first, then Max followed. Now it's the groom's turn. His mother, Chloe, who raised him on her own, will escort him, the announcer said. I walked down the aisle to meet Max. Max seemed a bit drunk but happy. He said into the microphone, "This is my amazing mom." I kept a serious face and walked with Max out of the hall to the dressing room. Mia was there and talked to Max. Max, I need to ask you something. What is it, sis? Hurry up, I need to change, Max said quickly as he undressed. Mia heard their earlier conversation in the dressing room. How could you talk about Mom like that? She asked. You heard us? Well, whatever. Max replied rudely. Lily, who had changed into her dress, came in. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law, what's going on? Mia asked. Lily, we found out that your parents are healthy. They both have good jobs. Why are you making Mom pay for everything? What's happening? Mia asked. Lily exaggeratedly acted scared. Is this some kind of bullying from a sister-in-law? Scary, Lily said mockingly. I lost my patience with her disrespectful attitude. I've already paid $60,000 to make you happy, and yet you treat people like they're just wallets or ATMs. What kind of behavior is that? Lily laughed as if it was a joke, acting all superior over such a small amount. We're not in debt to you. Plus, it's normal for the groom's parents to pay for the wedding, right? But you lied about your parents being sick to buy a new bag, Mia said. Oh, you were listening in. That's a terrible habit. Watch your mouth, Mia, Lily angrily replied. Then she looked at Mia. I don't want to be lectured by an older sister who's still single at 30 and has a weird job as a manga artist. Maybe you're too nerdy to get married. You're hopeless when it comes to marriage, sis. Mia was stunned into silence. How dare you speak to me like that if you want to see your grandkids, Mom, Lily said. Mia couldn't believe what she was hearing. How dare you talk to me like that? I tried to scold them, but Max laughed and said, if you're going to talk like that, try stopping the payments. After all, I'm successful. I can handle it. It would be a pity to lose the money. I paid $20,000 for the engagement party and $40,000 for the wedding. And this is how they treat me. No thanks, only meanness. I must have made a mistake in raising my son. I've had enough. I won't let them control me anymore. I heard what you said. Are you sure? If you don't listen, you won't see your grandchild. Max threatened. But I said firmly, that's okay. You don't need to visit. I'll happily stop paying. Max and Lily were shocked. I'm ending our relationship here. I wish you all the best, I said, taking Maya's hand, and we left the place. We could still hear the happy sounds of the party as we walked away. A month later, Mia and I were having tea at home when the intercom buzzed loudly. Oh, Mom, it's Max. What should we do? Let him in, please, Mia said. Max, whom I hadn't seen for a month, looked very tired and worn out. Why the sudden visit, Max? I asked. Mom, you must have got the bill for the wedding venue by now. Why haven't you paid it? Huh? Oh, the bill for the remaining money. It was $45,000, right? I got it, but I don't have to pay it, I replied. Don't say that. We didn't get many wedding gifts and couldn't pay the bill, so now we're in debt, Max said. Maya laughed and said, from what I heard at the wedding, you two don't have a good reputation. Max, you've been acting bossy at work, and Lily, you've been mean to other women and showing off your looks. No wonder people didn't want to give you wedding gifts. Hey sis, stay out of this, Max said. I sighed and said, you both haven't been considerate of anyone around you, not just me. You caused the wedding expenses, so you should pay them yourselves. Max begged desperately. Mom, I'm in trouble. Lily can't stop spending money, and even her parents are taking advantage of me. Lily's love for money isn't a surprise, Max, and considering Lily's behavior, I can imagine her parents are the same. Please, Mom, think about helping us. Give us some money, Max begged. I replied sternly, you were the one who said, I'm successful, it'll be easy, and told me to stop paying, right? And didn't you say we were cutting ties? I don't have to give you any more money. Mom, don't call me Mom. I don't want to be called that by someone who only sees me as a money source. I'd like you to pay back what you owe for the wedding and engagement party, but I'll let it go. Please leave. Max, who looked shocked before, now looked angry. Are you really okay with this, Mom, cutting ties like this? How will you spend your old age without a husband? Don't you want to see your grandchild? Before I could respond, Mia stepped in. Don't worry. I'll be with Mom. And what can you, an unsuccessful comic artist, do? You can't even have kids. Just be quiet. Max was furious. Ah, so scary. You make fun of me as a failed manga artist, but my manga was one of the best-selling this year. Did you know? It's going to be an anime and movie next year. I'm in a much better financial situation than you with your debts, Mia said confidently. She then revealed her successful career. Max noticed something on her finger. Hey sis, that ring. What's going on? Mia showed the ring on her left finger. Yes, that's what's happening. I'm getting married to my editor. He's important at a big publishing company, so we can take care of Mom. We don't need you anyway. We never planned for our kids to take care of us, Mia said. Thanks, Mia. We'll handle everything ourselves. We'll invite Mom to the wedding, but you don't have to come, I told Max firmly. Mia and I guided Max towards the front door. Please, Mom, and you too, sis, Max said, trying to appeal to us. Then he asked, are you going to give us money? I had a realization. That director at your wedding is a client of my company. It seems your special treatment was because of me. But I've stopped it. Handle things on your own now. Goodbye, I said. Mia and I pushed Max outside and locked the door firmly. Max protested outside, but after a while, it became quiet. A year went by. Right after that, I sold the house to avoid Max and Lily's visits. I bought an apartment for older people to live in when I get old. A neighbor from my old place told me Max and Lily came and made a scene, asking why I wasn't there. So I think selling the house was the right choice. Max and Lily gave up on their dream of a fancy apartment and now live in a small place. Max got demoted at work because of his behavior. He's still working, surprisingly. Lily stopped working after getting married but kept spending money. They ran out of money quickly. Even with debts, Lily keeps spending, and her parents keep asking for money. They fight a lot. I hope they learn how hard it is to earn money and appreciate people. But that might be too much to ask. Mia and I still have a good relationship. Her husband is nice to me and they're expecting a baby. I can't wait to spoil my daughter and grandchild. That's what keeps me going every day. The moment I had been dreading finally arrived. My husband, who has tormented me endlessly, and his ever-judgmental mother have moved in. I can't even count the number of tears I've shed and the times I've been hurt. Despite it all, I've held on, trying my best to fulfill my role as a wife and homemaker. But my husband never seemed to care about my struggles. He even decided to move his mother into our home without consulting me. Is your mom all moved in? I asked. Of course she is, he replied. Well, here's the thing. She's settled in, and in fact, I just finished moving back to my parents' home. Wait, what? Your parents' place? His voice over the phone was tinged with panic. I could tell he hadn't seen this coming. But don't think it ends here. I owe you for all the pain you've caused me. My name is Eleanor, a 44-year-old homemaker. I met Raymond at a party when I was 20, and we instantly clicked. Just 3 months later, he confessed his feelings and we started dating. A year later, as I turned 21, he asked, will you marry me? A year after our marriage, I became pregnant, and our first son was born. I thought I would have the fairy tale life I had dreamed of during my school days, but life wasn't that simple. Hey, is dinner ready yet? Did you make the bed? That's what Raymond always says when he comes home from work. I sometimes wonder if he thinks of me just as a maid. I'm sorry, I got a bit tied up. I'll get everything ready now, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Seriously, don't you think about how tired I am after work? I deal with so much stress to provide for our family. And remember, I'm a manager. Raymond would always start ranting about his job whenever things didn't go his way, making snide remarks. He wasn't like this when we first got married. People often ask if I'm okay with how he behaves. Of course, I'm not. It's unbearable. But honestly, I do appreciate that he brings in the money. Thanks to Raymond's good salary, we've never had financial troubles. But imagine if I challenged him and he retorted, you're defying me. Fine, I'll stop contributing to the house then. I wouldn't know what to do. So even if he says a bit much sometimes, I try to tolerate it, though I wish I could say it was always easy. But with the way Raymond's been acting lately, even that tolerance is strained. Like the other day, he ranted, why aren't the clothes dry? You didn't even use the dryer, did you? I told you before I like my clothes feeling cozy. They need to be fluffy from the dryer. I had a lot on my plate with shopping and chores, so I didn't get to the dryer. That's not the point. I work hard every day, but what about you? Aren't you a homemaker? Shouldn't you have time for at least this? Raymond never does household chores. He believes that's the wife's job. Just because I'm a homemaker doesn't mean I always have free time. I wish he'd help out a little. It was the same story when our child was born. Always some excuse about being busy or tired from work. So I've done all the household and childcare duties by myself. But there's another source of stress. My mother-in-law. Eleanor, did you clean this properly? And what are you planning for dinner tonight? Surely not some takeaway. Whenever my mother-in-law visits, she's always like this. She constantly looks for my mistakes and never hesitates to criticize. Both mother and son act similarly, like they say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And today she started again. Eleanor, how many times have I told you to clean the house every day to make it comfortable for my son? Why don't you? Are you ignoring my advice on purpose? This is why I was against my son marrying someone like you. You can't even manage the house properly. Just looking at you infuriates me. Constant criticism from Raymond and my mother-in-law. I endure it all with a smile. But there's one thing I just can't overlook, my mother-in-law's gambling habit. Whenever she has the chance, she's playing poker, slot machines, roulette, or craps. She just loves to gamble and spends all her money in the blink of an eye. Worse still, she laughs about it, and Raymond just laughs along with her. Hold on a second. Whose money do you think you're using? The money my mother-in-law spends on gambling comes from our household savings. I've brought this up to Raymond multiple times, but he just brushes it off. Hey, could you tell Mom? I mean, I could tell her, but if I do, I think she'd be really shocked. Plus, I'm so busy with work. I don't think I can discuss it calmly. He always comes up with these excuses and never asks. So I decide to convey Raymond's message to my mother-in-law for him. Why can't a mother use the money her son earns? He told me I can use as much as I want, she retorted, thinking that Raymond would back me up. I say Raymond feels the same way. Could you please stop using our household savings without asking? Right, honey. But Raymond interjects, what are you talking about? The household savings are for all three of us, excluding only Mom. Is she wrong? Sorry, Mom. Don't listen to her, she's lying. You can use the money as you always have. This is how Raymond always changes his story depending on who he's talking to. Moreover, he started blaming me for my mother-in-law's gambling habits, saying they worsened after we got married 3 months ago. That's just not true. Even before our marriage, my mother-in-law was gambling frequently. Whenever I went shopping, I'd see her coming out of the local poker club. But when I bring this up to Raymond, he accuses me of lying and then ignores the issue. He'll never see his mother's true colors. These remarks keep coming, and I'm getting fed up. Oh, look at the time. I should get going. Wait, Mom, you didn't forget about our plan, right? How are the preparations? Yes, they're well underway. What plan? What are these two up to? I'm taken aback by Raymond's sudden question and try to figure out their scheme. With that, my mother-in-law, humming a tune, leaves in high spirits. At last, she's gone. I think to myself. I look over, and Raymond is grinning from ear to ear, waving until his mother's out of sight. A week later, I finally understood the meaning behind Raymond's words about preparations. Have a good day, I say, but there's only a slam as usual. Raymond leaves for work without responding to my farewell. While most couples would greet each other with smiles, that warmth is long gone between us. I gaze out the window and see a neighboring family looking so happy as they walk by. I remember the days when my son and I used to go for walks just like that. Lost in my thoughts in the morning, the doorbell rings. Yes, who is it? Oh, it's you, mother-in-law. Wait, where's Raymond? I wasn't expecting her to show up today, especially not this early in the morning. Oh, something came up at his work, so he had to go in unexpectedly. I see. Why on earth is she here? She's not expecting to have breakfast with me, is she? No way she would think of doing that. Or would she? A flurry of thoughts about my mother-in-law raced through my mind. Then she says, why are you standing there looking so blank? Get things ready. Ready for what? I haven't eaten anything since this morning. I'm hungry, so make me breakfast. And make sure this doesn't happen again. What does she mean by from now on? The words get ready that Raymond mentioned earlier and mother-in-law's from now on phrase make me uneasy for some reason. I had a terrible feeling about this, feeling anxious about their comments. Mother-in-law pressures me to make breakfast. I apologize and start preparing the meal. Meanwhile, mother-in-law observes me, not even blinking. It feels more like monitoring than observing. Maybe it's hard to do under her piercing gaze. Silently and earnestly, I prepare the breakfast. Suddenly, mother-in-law says, it's pitiful to think my son eats this poorly presented food every day. It looks terrible and probably tastes just as bad. I'd love to know how you manage to cook so poorly. She ridicules me, mockingly laughing and complaining. Why do I have to hear this first thing in the morning? What was supposed to be a pleasant morning feels as if it had turned into a downpour. Sorry for the wait, it took you long enough. How much time do you need for a meal like this? Maybe you should attend a cooking class. Then you might be able to cook something decent. Even then, it'd be like getting a D instead of an F. Having a meal alone with my mother-in-law for the first time, seeing her stern face while eating, I lost my appetite, and the meal I put so much effort into tasted bland. Suddenly, my mother-in-law sat down her fork, stating, "I don't even feel like eating this. Clear it away." "I'm sorry, I just can't take this anymore. I wish she'd leave sooner." But little did I know, my wish would be shattered in no time. Ring, ring. "Excuse me for a moment." "Hey, Mom's there, right? Let me talk to her," Raymond requested, handing the phone to my mother-in-law. After Raymond's request, she exclaimed, "You told me we'd discuss that matter, making me come over so early. Now you say you're at work. What's going on?" "Sorry, something came up. I'll be back before noon. Just relax till then." "Hurry up. Being with her is just stressful." She ended the call with Raymond and returned the phone to me with a slight throw. Trying to ask what Raymond had said, she just glared and told me he'd be back before noon. 3 hours later, Raymond returned home and immediately asked her, "Sorry, Mom, so are you ready?" "Yes, just need to pack my things." Before I could process it, Raymond dropped a bombshell. "From now on, Mom will live here too." What? It was a shock. I always thought it would be just the two of us living here, but now my mother-in-law will be moving in. The mere thought of my mother-in-law coming here terrifies me. Living a life constantly getting snide remarks from Raymond and my mother-in-law every day, I just can't bear the thought of it. "Mom, I'll help you move on my next day off." "That would be helpful, but don't bring her along. We don't need someone useless." "Don't worry, it'll just be me." The shocking twist left my mind blank, unable to process anything. That evening, Raymond and his mom went out for dinner alone. I pondered our future. How would I coexist with the two of them? Was I just supposed to endure everything, or was there another way? The same thoughts kept replaying, but no answers came. Lost in my despair, tears spilled when suddenly, ring ring, a phone call. Wiping away my tears, I answered, and the voice on the other end was, oh, a call from the most unexpected person. The familiar voice echoed in my ear when I picked up the phone. "Mom, it's been a while." "Eric, it has indeed. Have you been well?" "Yeah, I'm good. Granddad and Granny are also doing well. We're all getting along." It was my son, Eric, on the other end. After graduating from college, Eric took a job at a company near our family home. Because his work was close, he had chosen to live with his grandparents away from us. "When will you come to visit? It's been years since you last did. The two of them really want to see you." "I'm sorry, I've been so busy and just couldn't make it to the family home." "Busy with what? Isn't it because of Dad and Grandmother?" He hit the nail on the head. The reason? The reason I couldn't visit was indeed because of those two. Raymond didn't like the idea of me visiting my parents. As a homemaker, Raymond only sees me as a mere housekeeper. He has this ridiculous notion that I should always be taking care of the home, and his mother shared the same view. She too only saw me as a convenient housekeeper, always expecting me to tend to the house. So I felt trapped, unable to leave and just living within the confines of our home. It felt like I was a bird caged up. Eric knew this. He once visited this house and remembered the words Raymond and mother-in-law had hurled at me. "Aren't you a homemaker? Then you need to do your household duties properly. A housekeeper who can't even do chores is useless anywhere. Be grateful you're even needed here by us." It was then that Eric first realized the treatment I was getting from the two of them. "I thought as much. I'm sorry for making you worry." "Listen, Mom, I have an idea." Then Eric suggested something unexpected. It was something I hadn't ever considered. "Really? Are you serious?" "Of course. It's to help you, Mom." While it might seem obvious, Eric's words became the lifeline I needed for my hellish life. From the next day, while Raymond was at work, I started implementing what Eric had told me to do, being cautious not to let Raymond notice and always vigilant for the often unexpectedly appearing mother-in-law. There were a few close calls. "Hey, have you been up to something lately?" "Why do you ask?" "Mom mentioned it. She said you've been acting differently. You're not cheating on me, are you?" Last time, Raymond's ridiculous misunderstanding saved me, but I can't underestimate my mother-in-law. She's sharp. I need to be more careful and not let my guard down around her. Still, it's clear that Raymond doesn't really care about me. Well, that's fine. It actually makes things easier for me. In fact, it's a relief. I can't wait to see how they'll react to what comes next. Ring ring. "Mom, how far along are you with the preparations?" I've got everything ready and I've made a lot of progress. Now we just wait for the day. Speaking of which, do you know when grandmother is moving in? She's moving in the day after tomorrow. I overheard them talking about it when they were in a good mood. I have to make sure they pay for everything they've done to me. The climax is approaching. The morning my mother-in-law is set to arrive. Don't slack off just because I'm not around. Also, help mom with the luggage when she gets here and keep the house clean. Mom said she won't forgive even a speck of dust. I understand. After seeing Raymond off, I start the final preparations. Then the doorbell rings. Good morning, Mom. Eric, I'm sorry, but can you help me? Of course, let's get this done quickly before grandmother arrives. With Eric's help, we finalize everything, and 30 minutes later, we're ready. All right, let's go. I hop into Eric's car and we head to a certain place. Ring, ring. Hello, the moment has arrived. Raymond and mother-in-law have tormented me endlessly. I don't even know how many tears I've shed or how much pain I've endured. Yet I've persisted, trying my best as a homemaker. But Raymond never seemed to care about my struggles, and he decided to move in with his mother without discussing it with me. Is Mom all settled in? Of course she is. But guess what? Yes, she's all settled, and I've just finished moving back to my parents' home. What? Back to your parents? Raymond's panic was evident even over the phone, but that's not the end of it. He's got a lot coming his way. I delivered the final blow to Raymond today, the day we get divorced. The divorce papers already filled out with your name are on the table when you get home. All you need to do is sign and take them to the courthouse, just to make sure there's no delay. I've arranged for a lawyer to accompany you. The lawyer will also discuss the division of our assets. Raymond, taken aback, blurted out, Wait, what are you talking about? Divorce? Are you kidding me? No matter what you say, it won't change my mind. Oh, by the way, we don't have a single cent in our savings. What? That can't be true. I've been contributing every month. Yes, but your dear mother gambled all that money away. We have nothing left. What I suggest is that you and your mother figure things out. Good luck. Right after ending the call with Raymond, his mother showed up at the house, arms laden with bags, enthusiastically ringing the doorbell. I didn't answer. Infuriated, she yelled, Hey, open up. How long are you going to keep me waiting out here? Open the damn door, you wretched woman. Screaming and swearing at the front door attracted the attention of a passerby. They suspected her of causing trouble and called the police. In just a few minutes, officers arrived and took her away. About 30 minutes later, a distraught Raymond, unable to focus on his work after hearing the news, rushed home, but I was nowhere to be seen. The only thing waiting for him was the divorce papers on the table. The sight left him completely speechless, and he just sat down, devastated. 2 hours later, the lawyer arrived and accompanied a despondent Raymond to the courthouse to submit the divorce papers. At last, our divorce was finalized. The next day, after being released from police custody, Raymond's mother came home only to find her son deeply affected by the shock of the divorce. Although Raymond had planned to live with her, the trauma of the divorce made him take a leave from work, and a month later, he resigned. With no income, he had to sell the new house they had just built. They managed to get by with the money from the sale, but his gambling-addicted mother depleted it all. Rumor has it they now live like homeless people in a nearby park. After the divorce, I began to live peacefully at my parents' house. The money from the sale of the house came to me as well. With that money, I commented, "This place is lovely." Yeah, it's a popular resort hotel these days. I was on vacation with my family, finally free from the nightmare. I could live my life on my own terms. That joy is unparalleled.